well, I'll do the very quick intro first in answer to your question. So yes, I came through an acquisition about 2 years ago. So it feels like I've been here for 5 minutes, but it's 2 years because the company I co-founded was acquired. So that company was a social media technology business called Content Cal. So I'm very much a social media guy. So for the purpose of today, though, there'll be a little bit of social media stuff, but really my job today is to bring to life the wonderful story that Govind just told about the journey that Adobe Express has been on. So let me just go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully the gods of live demos will stick with me today. And we're going to bring that all to life through the means of a live demo. So here we really want to demonstrate the depth and breadth of functionality that now exists in Express, where if you've been following the journey of Adobe Express from the days of Spark, yes, lightweight social content creation still remains a core use case, but the depth and breadth of features and functions that you can now do within Express that supports teams and businesses of all sizes is really it's exponentially different to where we were even a year ago, and we're only getting started. So let's start with one of those core differentiating factors of Express, and let's build from there. I think we're going to show about 5 or so use cases today. And Ingo, I'm sure you can keep me honest on time because I can be known to go on a little bit, but you've got me for 20 minutes. I'm going to try and cram in as much as possible in this 20. Right, so let's start from the home screen on the Express homepage here. Now, one of the core differentiators of Express is, as you'd expect, the integration to the rest of the Adobe ecosystem, Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. Now, that really is a very important unlock for those users that are trying to bridge the gap between the pro design tools and the lightweight tools that teams like marketers, HR, and sales need. And Express is the perfect glue that sits in between those. So we could be uploading a Photoshop file, an Illustrator file directly here, but in this instance, we're just going to upload this PDF example, which renders in a very similar way. So here we've got this PDF menu and price list for our donut restaurant, of which is non-editable, right, in its current PDF form, but we want to make this fully editable. And the same will apply if we uploaded a Photoshop or a Illustrator file. So now I've got full control over this. So we can start to bring this in line with our new brand standards. Let's change the background to make it a little bit larger. Don't really like the color of that image anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and replace that. So press this replace flow. We've massively improved this replace flow for what it's worth. So we can pull things from our brands and libraries to make it even easier. In this instance, I'm just going to replace it with a donut from stock imagery. So let's go with that, like that. Now, of course, we're going to need to do some things with that image to make it sit more nicely. So let's just remove the background. And you can see the speed at which the product now operates, which has been a huge lift from a lot of my colleagues in PM and engineering to really improve it and make Express truly performant. So now we've got that and it's looking much better. We can continue editing, we can change the pricing and we change what's on our menu, etc. So now we've got full control and we can make some real light, quick edits to something that previously was non-editable. Now, Govind touched on this briefly around print use cases. Because this is a menu that we're going to be putting into our donut restaurant, we're going to send this to a printer. So to do that, we're going to need margins and bleed. Very important for print use cases. So now we've just recently added that feature as well. So again, day by day, we're adding new features and functions to this platform to truly make it into the ubiquitous platform that's destined to be. Now, of course, because we've created a piece of content, what's a piece of content if we're not going to repurpose it and reformat it to use for different use cases? So here's where the ever popular resize flows fit into this. So we could be turning this into a flyer, a poster, an Instagram square post, a post in our Insta feed. Like that, we've now taken this single PDF that was non-editable, the poor old brand quality, some of the poor imagery, just quickly remixed it and then repurposed it across multiple different form factors. Incredibly powerful. So that's the kind of interoperability workflow, some of the print stuff, as well as some of the resize flows. But let's go into something that is quite possibly the most ubiquitous content format across organizations, and that is the humble presentation. So we've built a lot of presentation technology, of which Govind also alluded to as well. So here we could be searching for presentations in templates here. So maybe we wanted to create a pitch deck for our startup, something that I spent a lot of my life doing prior to Adobe. So here we've got a whole bunch of inspiration of different template starting points, etc. And as we click in them to get a preview, we can see the structure. So it gives us a really nice framework to start with. So these templates, as it relates to presentations, are not just great for design, they're also great for structure and getting your kind of thought patterns in order. And also, just added, hot off the press, added yesterday, is the ability to favorite these two. So we can now favorite those things that we think, actually, it's a really good starting point. I want to save that. And now we've got a folder just for our favorites. Been a very popular user request, that one. Anyway, getting back to the main track, let's go ahead and start working on that presentation template. Here's that very presentation that we're actually remixing in this instance. So let's make this on brand and make it on brand quickly. So here we can change the background color. Here I've got this brand already preloaded. So there we go. I can make that into my brand color. We've now included brands separate in this left-hand side. It used to be nested under your stuff, but brands is one of the central unifying factors of Express, something that everyone adores. And there's still a lot of new features and functions to come to brands. Yeah, stay tuned for that. But what we can do right now, because we want to build this for our startup, let's quickly bring in our logo, nice and easy. Let's pop that in the middle. That looks good. And let's go back to brands. And we want to make this feel on brand immediately. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring in this little element. So this is where brands can be super powerful, because it's not just about saving your logo. It's about saving those things that make your content feel uniquely yours. Those elements, those assets, those fonts, and as well as templates. And we're going to come back to save templates slightly later on. But anyway, I'm just putting this one here. You'll notice we've got this little link symbol. This denotes that this is a linked asset. This is something I created in Illustrator. So it just, again, shows that interoperability. And the delightful thing about linked assets is that imagine if we've got this visual reference across all of our different pieces of content, whether it's on our social videos, our content, our presentations. And imagine that we went through a rebranding exercise and we changed the color of this element. That would be a very painful rebranding process and project. But now, with linked assets, we just change the source file once, and wherever we've used that asset will be reflected across every single project. An incredible way of keeping things incredibly consistent across all of your different project types and content. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that there. Now, you'll notice that there's also a random video right on the bottom. So here's this ugly mug just appearing at the bottom here. But the reason I wanted to show this actually is it shows the mixed media capabilities of Express, up-leveling presentations far beyond what you can potentially do in other tools. So here I've uploaded a bit of a talk track of me talking through this pitch. So there we go. So now I've removed the background of that video and it really starts to level up the presentation. Of course, a little bit cringy seeing me in the bottom right of this slide, but hopefully you get the idea. Anyway, we can carry on showing some extra differentiation around Express. So here's in this next slide, I've got this text to image creation. I created this already using a reference image because I already knew the style that I wanted to include. So this was my reference image for the style. So it also made the text to image creations that I wanted to put into this presentation to really lift it. Otherwise, this slide is a little bit wordy without this. So now we can lift the slide, but still make it feel on brand with our text to image creations. Now, let's continue working through the deck. We could go ahead and, again, make sure that background color is on brand. And now we can work with something we've just added to presentations as well. And the rest is not limited to presentations, this either. And this is our charts. So now we want to represent this startup's growth through a bit of a visual reference here. So there we go. We can add that in. We can change the fill to our brand colors as well. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Change the value. And there we go. We can now start bringing our data to life in a much more interactive way. We can also multi-select elements. We're going to group them together. We can apply some animation again to bring that to life. One more slide to create in this one before we're done, and we can now show some power of the add-ons here. One of my favorite add-ons actually is Mockup Studio. So this is great, especially when we're doing kind of like presentations that involve talking about an app. It's wonderful to kind of bring it to life with a mockup. So here I quite like this mockup. I'm going to change the screenshot of this one, import it from file, use that one, and I will export that mockup. And I'm going to insert that into my project. So with that, we can now bring mock-ups of our app on a screen directly into the project. I'm going to set as that background. It really starts bringing our content to life when it looks like you can see it in the physical realm. All right, so we're nearly done, and we've shown so many different ways that we can make presentations truly stand out. And just clicking these three dots, I'm going to add some transitions. I'm going to have some transitions across all of the pages of this slide deck. And then, as Govin referenced, we can present directly from Express too, if we want to, going through all of that, or we could share, publish it to web, share with collaborators, share it as a little leave behind. And again, a really interactive way that we can share presentations that continue to leave an impact. So again, showing Express's versatility for the use of knowledge workers worldwide, whether it's sales, HR, marketing, etc. Alrighty. So where next? I think we're going to head to some quick actions. So now we've shown some kind of deep functionality that really facilitates creating standout content for knowledge workers. Now, quick actions are always a favorite for doing those light quick actions, incredibly fast. So here, pressing this little plus button in the top left, go to quick actions. And what I want to do is I want to caption a video. So we're going to go to caption a video, which for some reason, because I'm trying to read right while I'm doing it, I'm going to go ahead into video here and caption video. So this is one of those quick actions, an incredibly popular one, of which we could just go ahead and bring in that video, and it's going to start captioning that for us. Now, because you don't want to wait while something loads, here's one I've made already. So here you can see the captions apply automatically, and now we're starting to create video directly in Express. And again, I've applied the brand and visual identity to this, and I've even put a little bit of an intro to it. So I'm just going to drag that right to the front. So as you can see, we can start to do some lightweight video editing in Express. I'm just going to shorten that a little bit. What I also want to do is add a transition here too. So I'm going to have a push icon here, or a push animation. So here, there we go. So now we can start creating video content with lightweight video editing tools as well. And of course, we can use mixed media here. We can animate things directly on the video, have them fading in together. Got our transitions. We can apply video on video as well if we want to, especially in videos where we're demonstrating other things, maybe a product demo. Very easy for us to bring video on video. Fantastic for tutorials, walkthroughs, that kind of thing. Now, of course, content needs to proliferate. It needs to go viral. It needs to go global too. And this is where the translate feature is incredibly useful. So here, if we wanted to apply this content in and translate it into multiple different languages, we could just do it here. So we can apply that into to German, and let's have Spanish too. We've made a lot of improvements to translation as well, to work across multi-pages, etc. So I'm going to duplicate and translate that one. So there we go. So we've now got, Ingo, you have to keep me honest on my German's not as good as yours, clearly. So hopefully those captions look correct and translate correctly. But now we can start getting our content out into other new markets and expanding our reach. Now, already been previewed just for a video a second ago, but because this is a video destined for TikTok, I'd be remiss not to show. So here, our add-ons, we can bring in our TikTok Symphony Assistant. And of course, I want to use some trending sounds related to that, because trending sounds are very important to drive the reach of our content, because sounds is a key metric or a key determiner as to how your content is discovered. So let's pop that one in. Add that one in directly into our video, and as easy as that, we've now got TikTok music applied. So how wonderful that is that? So we've got trending sounds, over 1 million sounds, and an incredible way to express ourselves across multiple different modalities. Alrighty, well, let's continue on, and let's now talk about some scaled on-brand social content. And for the final 5 minutes or so, this is where it's going to be where we finish. Now, we're going to go to something that's very close to my heart, which is the schedule option here. This is your ability to plan out and organize your social publishing schedule across multiple different channels. So fantastic if you're trying to build your brand, and incredible for Express customers to truly have an end-to-end success platform, right way through creation to execution and publishing. So here, as you can see, I've got a lot of content planned and ready to use. It's always reassuring to see that we use our own product. So here we can drag and drop and move around if we want to. You'll also notice that I use these drafts at the top here to plan out my content calendar. That's a key way, and my probably biggest tip as it relates to becoming successful on social media is about delivering a consistent publishing schedule that's episodic in nature, whereby there's some consistency around what you deliver. So every Tuesday, I talk about the latest updates on social media. And I also always like every week to put out a certain quote post. So really lightweight, easy content to create always performs very well. So like marketing inspiration quotes, etc. So that's actually what we're going to create in this instance. So that's our publishing schedule. So we need to get some content to start filling it, and filling it quickly, because hey, we've all got better things to do than spend our lives creating content. So what we're going to do now is go to this quote template that we're working on. In fact, as you can see here, I'd saved this as a template. This is a saved template that I've just brought in from our brand, just as a reminder, as you can see it here in our saved templates. Saved templates are an absolute godsend for speeding up social content creation and content creation of all types. And users absolutely adore like remixing, making their own templates and saving those and remixing them from those start points rather than starting from a blank canvas. All right, now we need this template to be on brand as well. And I want to share this template with others too. And I don't want them messing with it because I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So what we can do to make sure no one else messes with the template, we can multi-select elements that we don't want anyone to change. So like this logo in the bottom right, I don't want that to change, for example. So we're going to group that, and then we're going to use this lock. So do I want them to be replaced? Do I want the text in the group to be replaced? In fact, no, I don't. So now we can start really having true control around who can control these templates. So we've got a really nice saved template we started with. Now we can start controlling that template. Now, what I would do next is press this share button, and then I would save this one as a remixable template, but go even further. I'm going to add this to our brand and library as we had done before. Give it a name that's relevant. Add it to the library. This is the one that we're working on. We can add a note to other fellow co-creators on this to say, here's the things that we'd like you to do. Here's the things you can't change. Just offer a bit of guidance. And then this is what we've recently added. Govin alluded to this earlier, hugely important area for business and enterprises so that we can restrict what individuals can do. So we don't want people using different colors and fonts. We want it to feel like it's our brand. So now we've got a lot of fidelity and control around those templates. So we'll save those restrictions. I won't do that now. Save those restrictions, save that template, and share that with others, safe in the knowledge that you've then got guardrails around your creative process. Also, some other fantastic ways that we can collaborate too, because we could simply share this with others as well, that we wanted other people to co-create with us. And one thing that I adore is the ability to have live co-editing. So if someone else was editing this with me, I can see their mouse moving around, working on it together. And also, as you would expect, we can pin comments, tag other members, and we can just simply have like a comment thread around this. Again, you know, the best content is often created together, and we really want to streamline that whole collaborative creative process. So there are all the different ways that we can collaborate through sharing our saved templates, from locking and applying those restrictions, through live co-editing, and also commenting. So we're in a good place. But of course, this is just a standard quote template. We've got to do something a little bit more interesting with this. So this is where add-ons will come to the fore again. So Kerry actually mentioned this in chat a moment ago, that we have multiple different add-ons here. So there's one that Govin was speaking about that we're going to show in a second. But there's also ones that are created by the community, like this batch create one. I've been using it a lot, really useful for creating multiple different variations of a post. And then we've also got this one that's shortly to be released, which is bulk create and generate. So we're going to use that one because this is a quote post, and it's generally going to follow the same kind of pattern. We want the same layout. We just want to change, very simply, we just want to change this quote, and we want to change the background image so it feels different. Very simple use case in this. So we just want to change the background image, and we want to replace the text here. So we're going to label this text as a quote, and we're going to link that up here. That's all we need to do. Two things. Now, at this point, we could download our CSV template, which gives us all of the parameters we need. For ease of demo, I've already created one here. And simply, I've just added in the quote, which is related to that quote bit in the middle. And I've also put in a background image prompt. So wouldn't have to necessarily use generative AI for this, which I am going to do in this instance. I could actually have a link to a file too. So if you've got some source files that you want to use to replace a background image, that would be more useful if you're using more on-brand orientated stuff. But in this instance, I'm happy with kind of anything. I just want some really nice eye-catching backgrounds here. So I can start using AI to generate and prompt at scale. So with that, I've already downloaded the CSV template. Press next, and we'll upload it in. Variations template. Tick, tick. We're all good. Create pages. And let's see what we get, shall we? Cool. So nice, it's busy generating, and you're going to start to see those quotes coming in, start to see some different images. This started as a one-page project. Currently it's 9, now it's 10, now it's 11. Wonderful. Beautiful, look at that. So now we've just created multiple different variations of that quote post, of which we can take in a number of different directions. We can multi-select if we want to, and then we could share that as a carousel to Instagram. Carousels perform really well on Insta. I'm going to go ahead and put a bit of copy, the importance of marketing, and I'm going to use the AI caption generator. So because I don't feel like I'm very creative, I'm not going to put a load of copy in right now, we can actually use our AI copywriter to start pulling together some of the some options for us. And we might not like this completely, and we might think, actually, you know what? This doesn't feel like us. Maybe the second sentence needs a rewrite. Just select that, press generate, and just rewrite that section. And this allows you to still have like AI assistants, but still, as the creator, have the curatorial control around it. Cool. I like that change. That looks all good for me. And I'm just going to go ahead and schedule that, save it as a draft, and add it as a draft for later. And then one final thing to do. Now that's all done, because that was just scheduling a single carousel. What I want to do also is like make this content go further. So I'm going to take this single page here, going to press share, going to hit schedule post. And this is the final thing we'll do is I'm going to put that onto Facebook, put it on both my Instagram accounts, because we can have multiple different profiles as well if you run multiple brands, both my Instas and the Facebook too. And I won't put a caption for now for simplicity. I know, because from my content plan that we spoke about earlier, that the second is a day that I put out a quote post. Posts perform best on those platforms that I've chosen between 8 and 9 in the morning. So I've made sure I'm going to set it at the time when my audience is most active, and I'll save that as a draft because I'm not quite finished with it yet. Add it to the draft, and boom, we've created multiple different variations of a post, all tightly controlled around our brand standards. And now we've got that all organized within our publishing schedule, of which we put that across multiple different channels. But if we want to move it around to different days, we can easily just do that. And with that, that's how we can truly use the transformative power of Express to really go deep in a whole number of different use cases. I really hope you found this useful, and I'm always here. You'll find me on LinkedIn for any questions you might have.